Hello. Today we are back with another video. Even though this is the festive season, we're still making content. We're still pushing the message, and the message of today is trusting that God's provision is enough. Now, this is kind of a follow-up video to the video I posted last Sunday about fear, right? So just to resume, I was kind of talking about trusting the Lord with the vision He has for you and just stepping into it with faith and without fear. And now, in this video, we'll be looking at Luke 12 from verse 22 to 28, and I'll pretty much explain a bit as we go. So then He said to His disciples, "Therefore I say to you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, nor about the body, what you will put on." Now, I think this is a great follow-up to the previous message, in the sense that now that you're in what God wants you to do, I think it's very easy for a lot of us to start stressing and start thinking about ways that we can provide for ourselves. But I think that now that you're in it, a lot of people forget that God is still in control of that. I think that if He was in control with putting you in that situation, He'll still be in control when you're in that situation, or at least when you are doing what you're meant to do for Him. And I really want to encourage everybody that's working, or at least that are in their calling, to not stress. The same way you walked into it without fear is the same way you should live in it without fear. Now, verse 23, life is more than food and the body is more than clothing. Now, again, I think this is important to note out, because like I said, we always worry about the little things, the little details that come with the journey. Or how will I pay for this? How will I manage that? But again, if you just let God take over all these things, you can navigate that stress into working towards a project, rather than navigating that stress in a way that will take you away in terms of time and energy that you could have been putting living in your purpose and working on your purpose. Now, 24, consider the ravens, for they neither sow nor reap, which have neither storehouse nor barn, and God feeds them. Of how much more value are you than the birds? Now, again, I think that a lot of us, like I said, are always finding ways to tighten things up. Now that we have that thing, we try to tighten up the screws. We try to be a bit more careful. It's important to be careful and strategic, but when you have to grow, you need to keep the train moving. And by trying to tighten things up, you're not allowing the process to carry itself out the way it's meant to be. So we should definitely be more careful as to how we conduct ourselves once we start reaping the benefits of following our calling. Now, verse 25, and which of you by worrying can add 1 cubit to his stature? Now, it's funny because at some point, I think I had this verse as my background. And again, I think it's always important to realize that whatever situation you're in and whatever stress life throws at you, I think the first thing that needs to go out of the window is worry and fear. No matter what situation you find yourself in, you should always do things that either bring you forward and that don't make the situation worse. No matter how you look at it, worrying always makes anything worse. And why is that so? It's because worry takes away your energy. Now, worry can transpire through anger for some people, crying, nervous breakdowns for others. But when you look at it, all these things take away energy from you. All these things destabilize you physically, mentally, and emotionally. And the last thing you want to do is to destabilize yourself and lose focus from what you're meant to do. 26. If you then are not able to do the least, why are you anxious for the rest? Now, this is also important because we need to focus on living in the moment, right? By not stressing about all these things, we're really focused on living the moment. We're really focused on enjoying every step and every bit of work that we're doing for that to come out better. Because if you're always stressing and focusing on what's ahead, what you don't have, then you're not even able to fully develop what you're currently working on. So when you get to the end of it, you look back on your journey and realize that you haven't even done what you're meant to do on a day-to-day basis. And by that time, it might be a bit too late to come back. 27. Consider the lilies, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. And yet I say to you, even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Now 28. If that God so clothes the grass, which today is in the field and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O you of little faith? Now this is very important because, like I said, when you try to tighten everything up, when you try to close yourself in and close what you have in, a lot of us do that because we fear being exposed to danger. We fear being exposed to wickedness. We fear being exposed to, I don't know, bad people, bad experiences. But you need to realize that all these things that you're trying to limit are sometimes things that God Himself will use as part of your process. Now, the more you avoid these things, the less prepared and the less in the moment you'll be to deal with them when they come, the less you'll be able to move forward and really fulfill what you're meant to do. This message was a bit longer than usual, but all of this was to really put emphasis on the fact that your attitude shouldn't change from the time where you were working towards getting in your calling and the time when you're actually in your calling. You should keep the same attitude, and if anything, you should increase in that attitude. You should never digress. The least you can do is maybe keep the same, but never digress, because digressing from that shows that you don't trust God fully, and you know what happens when you don't trust Him fully. He can't do everything that He's meant to do for you. So just let it happen, let it pan out, and don't get cold feet. Don't get cold feet. I know it's cold in winter, but doesn't mean you need to get cold feet. So lock in, focus, and put your trust in Him. Happy holidays.